Throughout history, brave explorers have vanished in the wilds, leaving behind legends and unsolved mysteries. From the Pacific Ocean to the Amazon jungle, the Himalayas to the Arctic ice, the fate of these adventurers continue to intrigue us. In 1937, American aviator Amelia Earhart radioed that she was lost and running low on fuel near tiny Howland Island. Then silence. No wreckage was ever found, and Earhart was declared officially missing. Similar chills rung through the stories of Percy Fawcett, Mallory and Irvine, Roald Amundsen, and Solomon August Andre. Each set out with courage and determination, then disappeared without a trace. Let's delve into these 5 gripping cases, the people, the expeditions, and the haunting theories of what might have happened to them, and see if we can piece together their final moments. Amelia Earhart. The aviatrix vanished over the Pacific. Amelia Earhart was a record-breaking pilot and the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. In July 1937, she was attempting a global circumnavigation in her twin-engine Electra. On July 2nd, she took off from Lae, Nugea, bound for the tiny Howland Island in the Pacific. As the world watched, Earhart's radio crackled, reporting that she was off course and almost out of fuel. Soon after, all contact was lost. The U.S. Navy search found nothing, leading them to conclude that Earhart and her navigator Fred Noonan likely ran out of gas and ditched into the ocean. No confirmed wreckage or remains were ever found, and by 1939 she was officially declared lost at sea. Earhart's disappearance remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the 20th century, but it also has spawned countless theories about her fate. Number 1. Crash and sink. The most widely accepted view is that Earhart's plane simply ran out of fuel and went down into deep water. If true, the Electra would have sunk to the seafloor, leaving little trace. Number 2. Castaway on Niku Maruru. Some investigators argue she missed Howland and landed on nearby Gardner Island, Niku Maruru. Artifacts have been found there, an empty jar of Earhart's preferred Treacle cream and plexiglass matching her plane, suggesting that she and Noonan might have survived briefly as castaways on that atoll. Number 3. Japanese capture. A more sensational theory holds that Earhart's plane crashed in the Pacific and she and Noonan were rescued by Japanese forces. Proponents cite an old photograph and islander accounts that supposedly show Earhart in Japanese custody. A vintage photo purportedly depicts 2 people who resemble them on a dock. Retired FBI agent Sean Henry found it in archives. This Saipan hypothesis remains controversial and unproven. An alternate identity. Number 4. Fringe claims even suggested that Earhart lived under another name after the war, e.g. the Irene Bolam story. But investigations and lawsuits have since discredited those ideas. Each of these scenarios has its believers and skeptics. Underwater searches and archival digs continue even today, driven by tantalizing clues and public fascination. The truth about Earhart's final moments, whether she was a castaway or a shipwreck victim, remains unknown. George Mallory and Andrew Irvine, the Everest Mystery. In June 1924, 2 young British climbers made their historic attempt on Mount Everest. George Mallory, 37, and Andrew Sandy Irvine, 22, were last seen on June 8 near the summit, about 800 feet below the top. They vanished into the high-altitude fog with no communication ever again. Mallory's body was famously discovered in 1999 at 26,760 feet with a broken leg and rope marks around his waist. Irvine's fate remained a mystery, that is, until 2024 when an expedition found his boot and partial remains melting from the ice. These discoveries answered where the climbers ended up, but deepened the central question: had they reached the summit? Mallory's remains offered tantalizing clues. A rope around his waist suggested he was tied to Irvine when he fell. His dark snow goggles were in his pockets, implying that their fall happened after nightfall. Intriguingly, Mallory had intended to leave a photo of his wife on the summit, and that photo was not with him. If they had planted it at the top, it would have provided proof. Without the climber's camera or any summit photos, historians debate fiercely. Were Mallory and Irvine the first to stand atop Everest 29 years before Hillary and Tenzing? Or did they fall just shy of the goal? Theories about their fate. Most climbers believe Mallory and Irvine did not reach the summit. The evidence points to a late evening descent gone horribly wrong. Perhaps they summited and froze in darkness, or maybe they hadn't reached the top by that point. Without concrete proof, all we have are possibilities. Some say they almost made it out to the top and were overcome by exhaustion and altitude on the way down. Others think they turned back short of the summit and then fell. The ISS kept it secret for a century, but Mallory's discovery in 1999 and now Irvine's remains in 2024 have fueled both hope and skepticism. In the end, the greatest climbing mystery remains open, inspiring Everest expeditions with every newfound scrap of evidence. Percy Fawcett, the lost city of sea in the Amazon. Colonel Percy Harrison Fawcett was a dashing British explorer famous for his Amazon expeditions. Beginning in 1906, he blazed through uncharted Brazilian jungles and became obsessed with the legendary ancient city he called Sea. In 1925, the 57-year-old Fawcett set out on his third mission to find Sea, accompanied by his 21-year-old son and Jack's friend Rayleigh Rimmel. The trio left civilization on April 20th, trekking into a maze of swamp, rivers, and hostile territory. They sent their last letter from a camp on May 29th, then vanished into the jungle. By 1927, with no word, the world feared the worst. Rumors flew. Had Fawcett gone native and remained in the jungle? Was he taken prisoner by a tribe? Had he become cannibal chief? Despite a decade of searches, no bodies were ever recovered. Fawcett's disappearance remains a legend, fueling books and movies like The Lost City of Sea. Modern archaeology has even shown that the Amazon once held advanced civilizations, perhaps vindicating Fawcett's theories in a bittersweet way. Theories about Fawcett's fate. Researchers have proposed many possibilities. One prevailing idea is that Fawcett's party was ambushed by a warlike indigenous tribe after ignoring warnings, as recounted by the Kalapalo people decades later. Others blame natural causes. He may have succumbed to malaria, starvation, dehydration, or even a jaguar attack. Some 100 potentially would-be rescuers perished while searching for Fawcett, underscoring the jungle's lethal hazards. There's even speculation that he vanished deliberately, perhaps to found a jungle commune. But this lacks solid evidence. In truth, whatever befell Fawcett is lost to history. His party simply walked into the Amazon and was never seen again. Roald Amundsen, lost on a polar rescue mission. Roald Amundsen was one of polar exploration's greatest heroes. First to the South Pole in 1911 and then to the North Pole in 1926. But his own final journey ended in disappearance. In June 1928, Amundsen heard that Italian explorer Umberto Nobile had crashed his airship Italia returning from the North Pole. Amundsen immediately joined the rescue. He boarded a French Latham 47 seaplane with a French pilot and 4 crew, aiming to find Italia's survivors. On June 8, 1928, Amundsen's plane took off from Tromsø towards Spitsbergen. It was never seen again. After weeks of searching, only a handful of ice floes and a broken ski were found, but no men. Amundsen's radio was capable of sending and receiving messages, so the other silence meant something went terribly wrong. Most scholars conclude the plane likely crashed into the icy Barents Sea, or the crew made a forced landing on pack ice, perishing in the freezing Arctic night. His body and plane were never recovered. Theories about Amundsen's fate. In truth, there are very few mysteries beyond the tragic certainty that something catastrophic occurred. Some hope his plane skidded into stable ice after running low on fuel, as a 1928 report suggested. The complete absence of news suggests that he has been compelled to make a forced landing on the ice. Others say a crash into open water is more likely given the lack of debris. Unlike other cases, there is no conspiracy or hidden agenda here, just the unforgiving Arctic. Amundsen's plane may well lie buried under the sea ice, a solemn monument to a polar hero whose final voyage ended among the drifting floes. Salomon August André, the balloon to oblivion. In 1897, Swedish engineer Salomon August André conceived a daring plan to reach the North Pole by hot air balloon. Along with two companions, Nils Strindberg and Knut Frenkel, Andre launched the balloon Ornen from Svalbard on July 11, 1897. But Andre's design was fatally flawed. Within 2 days, the hydrogen balloon was leaking badly. On July 14th, it crash-landed onto the polar pack ice. Stranded on the drifting ice, the men salvaged their supplies and made a desperate march. As autumn fell, all three came ashore on remote Vitøya Island, exhausted, starving, and freezing. They built a camp there. By October, they had all died. The Arctic winter settled in over their silent graves. Their disappearance remained a haunting mystery for 33 years. In August 1930, hunters on Kvitøya stumbled upon the remains of a small boat and the preserved bodies of two men. A month later, they found the third man, along with scattered journals and camera plates. Those journals told a grim story. Andre calmly recorded the failed fight and the group's slow demise. In one poignant entry he wrote, "We think that we can well face death, having done what we have done." A final testament to their courage amid madness. The world finally learned that Andre and his team died on ice. There were no sensational theories, just an accident compounded by hubris and Arctic cruelty. Conclusion. Endless mysteries, endless theories. From Earhart's silent Pacific flight to Fawcett's vanishing among the Amazon giants, from the frozen slopes of Everest to the polar night, these 5 stories share a haunting suspense. No one truly knows how they ended. Some answers have emerged, the discovery of bodies and journals, the analysis of wreckage, yet each case still sparks speculation. Why did Mallory's body lie in the ice? Was Amundsen felled by weather or by engine failure? What final words wrote Andre by candlelight? Each tale leaves room for wonder. Did Earhart survive as a castaway? Or Fawcett become king of the jungle? The truth may yet lie at the bottom of the sea, hidden in the ice, or simply in the winds of history. Some frontiers remain forever unknown.